السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. ما يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبعد. So we're going to continue inshallah. We stopped at the 36th hadith, and as mentioned last time, we're going to have a short introduction about jihad, because those are the hadith that we're discussing these days. So first of all, what is jihad? Like linguistically, it is exerting the effort and ability, like you're doing all that you can. Okay, this effort of of putting that the extent or the most of your effort, this is jihad. This is in language. In Sharia, it's exerting the effort for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and raising His word, or exerting the effort to deliver the Islamic message, the word of Allah, and spreading Islam, and to establish the Islamic community and the law that the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevails. Or exerting the ability of or effort in fighting the disbelievers and driving them back, like repelling them by self, money, and tongue. The importance of jihad is that, first of all, it's the topmost part of Islam. It's Durwat Salam al-Islam. It is the fence of its principles and the way to preserve the lands of Islam and Muslims. So it is from the most important Islamic concepts, and it is the way to pride and dignity and sovereignty, and this is why it is a confirmed obligation, and it's something that is continuous to the day of judgment. No people abandon jihad, like no people that would abandon jihad, like Muslims or non-Muslims, doesn't matter. No people who abandon jihad except that they were humiliated and invaded in their homelands, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would let them down and place the worst and most vile of people over them. And this for any nation. Any nation who just decide to be, we're not going to prepare, we're not going to do anything like, we're not going to, spend on the warfare, they're going to get humiliated and be invaded in their own lands. The reasons or the wisdom behind the legitimacy of jihad, like why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it something legal, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do that. First thing, and the principal reason, is to call for Islam and spread the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all people with tongue, money, and soul, and protecting those who are delivering the message. Like now you have people who are delivering the message, right? They need protection too, right? The other thing, or the second reason, to show the truth in belief and the ability of the person to sacrifice for his religion and belief, and to answer Allah's call, subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Lord's call, and being patient, enduring the hardships. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنكُمْ وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Or did you think that you would enter the Jannah, the garden, when Allah has not yet known those of you who have striven and known the patient ones? Another reason or another wisdom, removing or liberating the people from the rule of tyrants and their authority on earth, those tyrants who enslave their subjects and humiliate them, so that people, like we want to free them and liberate them, so that people become servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and proud with their servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and no one else. In the battles of Persia, Futuhat Faris, one of the companions, his name was Rib'i ibn Amir. He attended the negotiations, like normally, like any war. The two parties ask, okay, let's discuss, let's have a meeting, let's talk, let's negotiate, right? So they asked for someone, and they sent, the army sent Rib'i ibn Amir, radiyallahu anhu. So they asked him, like, what brings you us? Like, you are Arabs, You are just those poor, weak people in the corner of the world. Now you're attacking Persia, the main or the biggest empire in the world at the time. What brings you? So he told them, we came to liberate people from worshipping people to worshipping Allah, and from the injustice of the rulers to the justice of Islam. And you can see it, see how many tyrants are there today. Muslims out for ruling Muslims or ruling non-Muslims. You can see what they're doing to the subject everywhere. Look anywhere. You can find a good example. When I'm talking now, every one of you has a good example on his mind now, right? Another thing, so that Allah's law prevail over His land and creations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, He is the king, He is the owner, He is the giver and the manufacturer. So the governance and ruling must be for Him, and His teaching must be applied to His creation, right? أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ. All creation and command belong to Him. Exalted be Allah, Lord of the worlds. So basically, when you do this, you spread the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You tell people, or call people to this Islam. If they accept, good. If they're not affected by their tyrants. They're not being, they're not getting false information. They're actually accepting or rejecting based on their free will, right? And then at the end, at the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge them, right? Another reason is establishing justice and stopping the reasons for dispute resulting from referring to people's whims and systems established by people. Normally, when people establish systems, anyone, he will just try to control the other group of people, and this would lead normally to injustice and conflict between people and hardship. If there's the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is removed. You're not in Allah's law. No, there is no preferred group. There is no preferred race. There is no preferred country. There is nothing like that. It's all justice for everyone. Another thing is protecting the lives, money, honor, and homes, and preventing and blocking external or foreign assault on Allah's religion and rules, and also liberating the land and people. So those are reasons for why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us with jihad. Generally speaking, jihad has two meanings. We have a general meaning and a specific meaning. And the general meaning is not limited to fighting or war. It includes a lot of things. First of all, and the first battle every one of us, fights in is with yourself, is with your soul, right? And with your shaitan. This is the first thing. This is the thing that makes you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first place. This is the thing that prevents you or stops you from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to have this struggle. Everyone has this struggle inside him. You have this battle inside you. This is the first one, right? The second one is by tongue and knowledge. And this includes teaching and spreading the teaching of Islam and clarifying it and refuting the suspicious and misconceptions. But they spread misconceptions everywhere, right? Those who are opposed to Islam will just spread misconceptions all the time, right? So we need people to refute those misconceptions and suspicions that they spread. And this, of course, includes teaching Muslims about their responsibility in spreading Islam and in defending it. And this is one of the most important ranks or one of the important forms of jihad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا تُطِعِ الْكَافِرِينَ وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. What is be? So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not obey or give in to the disbelievers and strive against them with it a supreme striving. What is it? وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ was what? Al-Quran, right? وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِالْقُرْآنِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. This is the first thing. Second form, by money, right? By spending it in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of Allah and Allah's way. The third form is by fighting and war, and this is the specific meaning. When, like normally it's mentioned jihad, normally this refers to this meaning in the first place. Okay, whether it's in defense against those who assault Muslims and their lands and their sacred things like the holy land, the holy mosque, things like that, or you're pursuing the enemy, you're just chasing the enemy, and you're being proactive. First you direct for them the call for Islam to the other nations, and then you fight the tyrants who are stopping you from delivering the message. Then there is another thing, which is general mobilization, Nafir al-Am, and this is when the enemy raids or breaks in the Muslim land and invades it and assaults the religion, land, faith, and the Muslims themselves. In this situation, every person must mobilize, every person must move, every person must do his part in defending all of those. It does need to be military thing when we mobilize here. Like it can be like a medical aspect. It can be in providing food and supply and so on. So if this is the case, every person must find his something to do. What he's good at, he should do it, or he must do it. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legalized jihad or ordered us with jihad, didn't come in one stage. Actually, there were like 4 stages in the process. First thing, during Mecca, when the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were in Mecca, they were giving clear directions. No fighting, no matter what. If they assault you, do not defend yourself, do not fight back. Okay? For 13 years or more, you're not allowed to fight back. Whatever happens, be patient, forgive them, and wait. After that, after Hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ and Sahaba moved to Medina, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a permission. Just a permission. أُذِنَ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى نَصْرِهِمْ لَقَدِيرٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just gave them a permission. You can defend yourself now. Okay? Then the Muslims were given permission to start fighting against the disbelievers, their enemies. But outside the sacred month, you cannot fight in Rajab, you cannot fight in Muharram, you cannot fight in the Qa'dah, the Hajj and Muharram, you can't fight in those 4 months. Or you cannot fight in Mecca, in the Masjid al-Haram, in the holy precinct in Mecca. Unless the disbelievers start. Like if your enemy starts, if you attack you, they attack you in Rajab, okay, I can't fight you, and I will just wait another month and like that. It doesn't work that way. If they attack you, you have to defend yourself, right? And then there were no restrictions. There's a stage 4. So the Prophet ﷺ attacked Mecca, like he actually seized Mecca, and for those who were there to get him out of Mecca, like they practically kicked him out, and the Sahaba from Mecca, from their own houses, right? So as the Prophet ﷺ attacked Mecca and took over it, and the Prophet ﷺ, when he entered Mecca, he entered with the helmet on his head, right? And he wanted to limit any battles. He don't want anything to happen. So there was like small fights, but again, he went to Mecca with his in full armor, with the army, got in it and captured or conquered it. Okay, so what is the ruling for jihad? Right? Jihad in all its types is a collective or a communal obligation. We call it Fard Kifaya. Whether it is by tongue, by knowledge, money, or fighting, there is all communal or collective obligation. What is a collective obligation? What is a communal obligation? Fard al-Kifaya. It is an obligation that is required from the Muslim community as a whole. Okay? So if enough people fulfill the requirements, everybody's okay, everybody is safe, everybody's off the hook. Okay? Those who did this order, or those who fulfilled the requirement, those who actually did this fard, will get rewarded. But the others are not sinners, do not get any, they're not blamed or even blamed, right? If the community as a whole fail to fulfill the requirements, they are all blamed and deserve to be punished. Of course, this is for the people who can, like, if there is a person who is poor and and paralyzed and can't talk, so what can he do? Nothing, right? So he's not blamed in this case, obviously. So what are examples of the communal or collective obligations? And this is actually important. We're going to mention some examples, and then we're going to mention the definition or the ruling of what is considered a communal obligation. Like washing the dead, preparing the person who died, praying the janazah, burying this person, establishing proofs that for the Islamic belief and pillars of faith, preserving all the branches of religious knowledge, all the useful knowledge and crafts and industries, commanding the good and denouncing the evil, visiting Kaaba, lifting harm like hunger and illness from Muslims, if the money from the zakah is not enough, and so on. So the bottom line, or what, if you want to know what is a communal or a collective obligation, those are the things that are essential for the order. Those are the things essential for the orderliness and goodness for the religion and the worldly matters for Muslims, so that if this is the case, if there's something essential, something that you need to have a proper or preserve religion and have a proper life, this is something that's collectively required from you. Again, this is from the community as a whole, not from a specific person. On the other side, like in opposition to that, there is something that is called fard ayn, which is a personal obligation that everyone must do it. Salah, everyone must do it. Right? Siyam, everyone must do it, and so on. So, things like having enough doctors, enough lawyers, enough, people who will do trades, enough sailors, enough pilots, enough, researchers, enough everything, enough lawyers, enough judges, and you call it anything that is essential for the Muslim community to actually live properly and be self-sustainable, or be self-sustained, is a requirement from the Ummah as a whole. So, why is it, what is the evidence or proof that jihad is a communal requirement? It's a communal obligation, not obligatory for everyone. وما كان المؤمنون لينفروا كافة فلولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. Okay, and never would it befit the believers to mobilize collectively. So why should there not be of every section of them, like out of each community, a faction that mobilized to study the religion, like gain understanding of the religion, and to warn their people when they return to them, so that they may be aware. So not everyone's going to jihad. Like I said, not everyone's going to go to search for knowledge, right? Also, the Prophet ﷺ didn't ask or order all the companions to go out in all the battles and missions, right? The Prophet ﷺ would send, a group of people. He would send like a Sariyah. He would go by himself in a ghazwa, right? And it's not every time he told every people, okay, or everyone join the army. It was only in Tabuk for a specific reason, right? And this is the initial and original ruling for jihad. However, there are three scenarios where it becomes a personal obligation. First of all, for the person to attend the battle. Like you cannot go, attend, get, the war starts and say, okay, I'm not playing this game, I need to leave. No, you're not allowed to leave anymore. If you attend, it becomes a personal obligation upon you. The second thing, if the disbelievers attack a city or a country and start entering it and so on, then it becomes an obligation for all those residents to defend, right? Again, everyone according to his ability, right? The third thing, if the imam, the governor, the president, we call it, like same or someone with the same position, assigns certain people. Okay? Like he says, that I want this person, and that person, you three, I need you. Then it becomes a personal obligation upon you. The matter of jihad, especially the proactive one, is not for the public opinion. Like, it's not for, everyone just, decides something with them. Everyone just decides, okay, we're going to do whatever. No. It is the function and the duty of the imam, right, of the political leader. Like, again, I couldn't find a proper word for imam. SubhanAllah, I think it was like 2 years ago, it was in the masjid here, and I was mentioning something about the imam. We were mentioning about the ruling about apostasy and something like that. And we're mentioning the imam, and one of the brothers said, okay, so it was the sheikh was leading the salah. This is Yudi. No, it's not the sheikh leading the salah. The imam meaning the political leader, not the imam in the masjid, right? So this matter of jihad is actually referred to, this is the duty and the responsibility of the imam, okay? Of course, when we'll talk about the normal situation, like normal scenarios, like exceptions or times that are not proper, this have other rulings, but we'll talk about the main or the basic ruling. So it's left for the imam and his judgment, and the public needs to obey and follow the decisions. Like, the imam cannot say, okay, we need to fight, and say, no, we're not fighting, we're not following it. No, if the decision is taken that we're fighting, the public needs to support. So the first task for the imam is to secure the borders, right? You don't want any people coming, any enemy entering your land. The first thing, just secure the borders. There's a number, like, common sense, right? And then when the relation between the Muslims and a group of disbelievers gets worse, and there is a reason to fight, the ruler or the Muslim leader must first take the decision, and when he takes the decision to fight. Of course, when I say when he takes the decision, it does mean that he's just, he's making things up his mind. It's not, he just didn't wake up in the morning and said, okay, we're fighting today. No, he has his, what you call, the group of people, like, the assistants and the people who consult and so on. Like, it's not...
It's deliberated.
His cabinet, oh yeah, like his people, like his assistants and, and ministers and so on. But again, like, who was signing the decision, it will be the imam, right? Okay, so when this happens, first thing, you must notify the enemy, right? You cannot betray them, okay? And then tell them that...
No surprise attacks?
No.
Okay.
If you are in treaty...
Oh, if you're in treaty, okay.
And even if you're no surprise attack, before attacking, you need to tell them, okay, because this and this actually scholar mentioned. This fighting is not for loot, it's not for, money, it's basically for the spreading of the word of Allah. Okay? Yes, you can trick them, and this will come in one of the coming hadith. And it's actually Harb Quda, right? What is a trick? Mm-hmm. And this is coming after 2 hadith, right? After 3 hadith. But again, you're not allowed to betray them. You cannot give them your word that you're in peace and then attack them next day. You're not allowed. Okay? By any means, you're not allowed to betray them. Even if they betray you. Like, you don't say, okay, they betrayed us, so we're going to betray them next time. No. It does work that way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't permit us to betray anyone. Okay, so this was the short introduction. Of course, there's a lot of details and a lot of rulings and a lot of things that we cannot fit in such a small class or a short class, okay? So, hadith number 36. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الخير معقود في نواصي الخيل إلى يوم القيامة متفق عليه. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, goodness is tied to the forelocks of horses till the day of resurrection. Hadith agreed upon, like, reported by Bukhari and Muslim. And this hadith is reported on the authority of 18 of the companions and on the authority of Makhul from the Tabi'een. So it's a Mursal Makhul, like 18 plus 1. From those companions who reported this hadith, Ibn Umar, Abu Hurairah, Anas, Hudayfa, Jabir ibn Abdullah, وعروة البارقي رضي الله عنهم جميعا. Urwa ibn Abi al-Ja'd al-Bariqi al-Azdi, he lived in Kufa. Umar radiallahu anhu assigned him as the judge for Kufa, and he was the first judge in Kufa. First Muslim judge in Kufa was Urwa al-Bariqi radiallahu anhu. He was a murabit, like he stayed in Ribat for a while. You know what Ribat is, right? Ribat is when basically you are stationed in a place, just waiting for the enemy to attack. So it's like in constant fear. You cannot live a normal life. You're always alert, right? And this is one of the great strengths and one of the things that is rewarded highly in Islam, right? Being in ribat. So he radiallahu anhu was murabit for a time, and he reported 13 hadiths. Like we have the hadith, the number of hadiths we received about him, or we have from on his authority, are 13 hadiths. Uthman radiallahu anhu sent him from Kufa to Sham, to Levant, and during his ribat, he had many horses just prepared. One of them costed him 10,000 dirhams, like 10,000 silver coins. Okay? How much is a silver coin? How many grams? Like 4 or 5? And the gram is like what? Like, I think it's about
$50 or something.
No, the gram I think it's $1 or something like that.
Right.
So it's like 40,000 bucks or something for the horse. Okay? Shabib ibn Gharqala said, I saw in the house of Urwa 70 horses tied for jihad in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. Like he prepared 70 horses just for this thing.
Was he in charge of the ribat? Like there was a...
No, he was one of the people there.
Why did he have so many horses for himself?
He's participating. No, not for himself. Like again, for the war. He prepared it for war. Okay. Now, look at now. We don't. It's not a pet. The horse is not a pet. It's actually a weapon or like a vehicle, right? So someone, we have this war, and then someone is donating 70 vehicles, 70 cars, 70 pickups, something like that. Okay. In this hadith, the ruling of jihad is ongoing and will continue till the day of judgment, right? SubhanAllah, that maybe it will be the last thing is the battle with Ad-Dajjal, right? Afanallah Azza wa Jal, right? And afterwards, after Isa alayhi salam descends and kills Dajjal, and then Ya'juj wa Ma'juj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell him, like it seemed that Muslims were asked to fight Allah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell him, no one had the ability to face Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Take them to At-Tur, right? Jabal At-Tur. Go and protect yourself, like shield yourself with Tur, in Al-Tur, right? Mm-hmm. So this is ongoing. After that, after Isa and so on, and then, the sons of our, and then when there are no Muslims anymore, so there is no jihad, obviously, right? In Imam Muslim narration for this hadith, this goodness was clarified. Reward and spoil. Al-ajru wal-ghanima, right? So at least you're getting rewarded if you have this one. In this hadith also that the horses will stay important in warfare, even after the advancement in technology and weapons and so on. Like even in our modern times, there are places that horses are essential and effective, like like steep mountains and things like that. You cannot take a tank in a steep mountain, right? You cannot move a tank between mountains. Even if you go in an airplane, you can fly, but you're not getting inside. So horses are still effective and used. There are some hadiths that mention that actually horses or having horses are actually, there are 3 types, or there are 3 people having horses. First one, who gets a reward, or first one who owns a horse, or from those who own horses, those who are rewarded, and those who are like doing something permissible, and some people are getting sins for having those horses. In the hadith reported by Imam al-Tirmidhi on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the forelocks of horses are tied to goodness until the day of judgment. The horses are for 3. It is for a man a reward, and it is for another man a shelter, like from poverty, and it is a burden for a man. As for the one who acquires it for the cause of Allah and prepares it for that, and now you know why 70, it is for him a reward. Nothing disappears in its stomach except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writes it for him as a reward. everything that it eats, the sun, the grass that it eats, it is a sadaqah. Okay. Other than that, this is the hadith of Tirmidhi. He didn't, the narration in Tirmidhi is not complete. Like Imam Bukhari also narrated this, the other hadith in the same meaning, and showed that it's a shelter for the person who uses it for work. Like people can use it like in farming and whatever, and they use it, and they, obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the horse, and if there is a right in it, he pays it out. So this is like a shelter and something good for this person. And the third one, which is for him sin, is it the one who keeps it out of pride and pretense and to harm Muslims. So again, this is the intention and why we're keeping this. There are some people who buy horses just to show off, right? So this is not the case anymore. This is not good for him anymore. Okay, I think we talked enough for tonight. Inshallah, in 2 classes we're going to finish the Mutawatir Hadith, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين.